So good afternoon, everyone. Happy Mandela Day. Thank you for choosing to spend a couple of hours with us on the topic Business Support Training, Growing Your Business Beyond Borders. I am Chugo Ayaji. I am an energy consultant, but working the span of SDGs from gender advocacy to sustainability and environmental support. I am here with a team of experts to speak to us on the topic of business training. And today we have them one by one, but just before we go in to sort of present the topic for today, growing your business beyond borders. We all know that the COVID pandemic has exposed deep inequality in our world today and has impacted everyone from governments to individuals to businesses. Small and medium-sized enterprises and informal sector have been the worst hit, and this is the lifeblood of the African economy. According to the World Bank statistics from December 2020, 80% of jobs, a huge amount. Given the importance of SMEs to African economies, the topic today and the underlying question I'll be asking all our speakers to touch on is that given the importance of SMEs to African economies, how can led businesses survive, thrive, and add value to their communities in these difficult times? Without further ado, I would like to present the first speaker, Yaw Afful, who will be presenting the African Continental Free Trade Agreement or the Free Trade Area. Some business owners might have been hearing of the AfCFTA, which came into force early this year in January, and have been asking questions about how this agreement can be beneficial to their businesses and to their livelihoods. So Mr. Afful is the Executive Director for AfCFTA Policy Network. He's a chairman of the Executive Council of the APN Women of Africa Network, and he is the CEO of Lobby Enterprise. He is an international trade practitioner and serves on various international boards, such as the Global Chamber of Commerce, member of SEEDS, and he's a specialization strategist. Without further ado, Mr. Afful, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your
yes, thank you.
panelists. Good afternoon to participants, and I'm happy that we are organizing this program to really sensitize businesses about the continental free trade and then business strategy. And I think that it is the right time. So basically, it's an agreement that has come to stay, and it has to focus on intra-African business. Let me put it that way. How to do more business among Africans, intra-African business. Before the continental free trade, we were actually having trade. The difference is that this one has come to boost intra-African trade by tax on export taking off, or tax on certain category of products taking off. About 90% of products are going to be liberalized over a long period of time, and eventually zero tariff. That is good news for business owners and people who want to do business or who want to do trade. Why? Because then your cost of exporting outside Africa will be reduced, so they can concentrate on your comparative advantage to be able to expand your business. So the 54 countries have signed the agreement, 41 are full members, and as you said earlier, trading has started. What kind of trading? Trading where there is free movement of goods and services, trading where there is free movement of persons has commenced. So it means that countries like Ghana and Nigeria, who are members of the agreement, or full members of the agreement, can trade among themselves goods and services moving freely without trade barriers. Without trade barriers like position of tax on export or duties. This is very important. Therefore, the agreement says that we have protocols, trading goods, trading services. Trading services have about 12 sectors, but about 5 have been, or is working now, because you have to negotiate among member states for them to take away some of their sovereignty in certain areas. So communication, ICT is one, it is ready. Professional bodies, financial institutions, tourism, these are ready protocols that are in place. The rest of the 7 are still being away. The rest of the 7 will see aviation, will see construction, will see health, will see, we'll see more into, like I mentioned, education and the rest. That is very important. The rest of the world, about 50% of GDP now is coming from services sector. So you realize that a lot of startups that are coming these days are within the ecosystem of ICT, tech, and what have you. So the agreement really has covered most areas of doing business, apart from trading goods, trading services. The trading goods, we have rules of origin to support how we trade, because without rules of origin, everybody can dump anything on us and say it's made in Africa. But the rules of origin are going to guide what kind of goods qualify for originating status, what kind of goods qualify to be given concessions, to be given tariff-free, or to be given duty-free. That is very important. And the trading goods, you're also looking at some key annexes like sanitary, which has to do with animals and plants. So it has covered that side, plant medicine, animal size, and what have you. We're also looking at very important area, free movement of people. A lot of countries now are waiving off their visas. Most African visas are paid on arrival, but with this continental free trade, it's built on the Abuja Treaty 1981, which is expecting, or which is trying to give right to entry, right to establishment in the member states. So, for example, I should be able to move to Tanzania, right of entry, right to establish myself in the area of trading services. Maybe I am an ICT expert, maybe I'm a professional. I should be able to move to these countries to establish myself. The only thing is that this, with agreement, regulatory framework has been urged to be a bit flexible. Gone are the times when we will bar companies coming to invest in certain sectors of your economy. Once you liberalize, once you sign under this agreement, your trading services must be open for investment, must be open for people to grab. Again, the Continental Free Trade Agreement doesn't only look at goods and services, it looks at other areas like e-commerce, which is still under negotiation. It's looking at competition policy. How can we compete? So you see, once you talk about free trade, competition is the first thing you should think of, because you have opened up your own borders, you've opened up trade, you've opened up your economy. Then we are looking at investment. Investment is also key. How do we do investment? There have been so many foreign direct investments outside Africa. How can we have intra-African investments? So the Continental Free Trade Agreement has about 6 protocols and many annexes. And what is it? It's targeting a market of about 1.2 plus billion of people, accessible market. And we are expected to have a revenue of about 2.3, 2.4. I'm always saying that even the expected revenue is not too much, because we're still lagging behind India. The whole continent is lagging behind some countries. It's not good. So we are supposed to position ourselves to boost trade. The focus of the Continental Free Trade Agreement is about export and import. It's about how startups will be able to access financial support from their countries in order to enter into value chain activities. And if you read very carefully, you realize that Africa main bone in the economy is agribusinesses. Agribusinesses will drive or catalyze the manufacturing and industrialization process, which is very, very important. The Continental Free Trade Agreement is saying that, look, all the necessary things that will be needed to make sure that we trade among ourselves, let's do. So it's going to focus on what we call BIAT. These are the structures called BIAT, boosting intra-African trade. We have trade information. Every country must develop its trade information, trade infrastructure, trade-related infrastructure. You can't just trade. If you, after the goods are produced, how are the goods going to another country? How are you taking the goods? So trade facilitation also comes in. So trade infrastructure has to do with the necessary infrastructure needed to trade well. And then after that, you move to trade facilitation, border issues. Then you have also trade finance. Yes, people say, look, I have good plans, I have good business ideas, but there's no money. So how are countries going to position themselves? So banks like AfCFTA Bank, though it's a commercial bank, has been tasked by the heads of states to support the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade. And I'm sure many other banks will come in that light. They will be supporting financial institutions, they'll be supporting business associations, they'll be supporting people who are already in the exportable chain. Within the next 5 minutes, I'll say that the Continental Free Trade Agreement is not just only about goods, it's also about services, exporting your skills, knowledge transfer. Especially for professionals. You are in a country A and you feel that your services will be more needed in country C. Per the agreement, you should be able to enter. Maybe there is a regulatory requirement of writing and exams. That's okay, but your qualification must be recognized. That's what the agreement is looking at by the time it's fully negotiated by December. Another area is that the Continental Free Trade doesn't have women in trade as a protocol, but they are working towards it by the end of the year to have women. Because women form about more than 60% in informal trade. And so once they take hold of border trading and cross-border trading, you will see a viability within the agreement. Another thing we have to know is that right now, COVID-19 or the pandemic has taught us that the worst thing to fear is pandemic. And so very soon, we're going e-commerce. There's a lot of e-commerce platforms, e-commerce booming in Africa. And now you realize that one of the greatest hot product is vaccines. So how are we even going to transport vaccines? How are we going to manufacture? Then the health issue I talked about, health sector comes in. So e-commerce is going to change the scope and the operationalization of the Continental Free Trade. And I urge businesses that this is the time to look at it. When you were lockdowns, when there were lockdowns, restrictions, how were you doing business? So you have to position yourself with the mindset of a pandemic in mind to be able to boost your e-commerce platform. To this end, the Continental Free Trade has come in agreement with the AfCFTA Bank to develop what we call the Pan-African payment system. Africa has so many inconvertible currencies. So the platform which is going to be launched in August, called Pan-African Payment System, it's going to be like a kind of Africa's Visa. We're going to have one platform. This is a payments platform. So you don't need to get Naira before you transfer Naira to your supplier in Nigeria. The platform has had an integration process with almost all the African central banks, let you feel, so that you can have your denominated currency and pay for any transaction to any other supplier in another country. So the Continental Free Trade practically is just, most importantly, about liberalizing 90% of your product without duty, so duty-free over a period of time. It's about service industry opening up so that people can move and be able to have more network. The Continental Free Trade is also about dispute settlement. When we are having all these border issues, where do we go? It has made opportunity for us to have that kind of dispute settlement, so that there's no bully in the Continental Free Trade. No country is superior. Every country is on the threshold of free and fair. The only difference is that countries that are not of the same economic might as others will be supported in their first 2 years of a certain credit facility to support their loss of revenue because of the import duty-free. Last but not the least, one of the areas that Continental Free Trade is going to look at is that it is part of the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. It is just one of them. So Africa is looking at integrating itself between now and 2063 in the area of market. That's the first one we've seen, the Continental Free Trade. The next one will be one custom union. One custom union Whatever customs practice you see in Cote d'Ivoire, you see it in Angola, you see it in Tanzania. Then after that, we have one African currency. So they're going to have one African central bank, one currency, one passport. One passport will have to be ready even by the year 2022. It was supposed to be ready as of last year. So we're looking at one passport. That is going to help, because that is what is going to really be a strong base for the ability to move to other countries. Sorry for my noise background. Then again, you are looking at another very important thing that Continental Free Trade brings. It brings a whole lot of satellite investment. I want to rest my point here. Maybe if there are questions later, I'll take it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Afful, for that amazing presentation. There were so many highlights from that, from the rules of origin to trade facilitation. So there's a lot, and I'll ask all participants who want to ask a question to raise their hands, and they can take a question. But maybe I can just start. I have two questions for you. That was a very clear presentation of what the AfCFTA is, even though it has been over a year in the making, in negotiations, in discussions with African leaders. So it would be how the AfCFTA and other regional economic communities like ECOWAS, like North African, how do they balance each other? Or is it a standalone? My second question was regarding rules of origin legislation. As all Africans would know, and me as well, we know how our borders are. They can sometimes be porous. So in the context of porous barriers, how do we make sure that other countries, such as China or India or European countries, don't take advantage of this tariff-free zone, and goods, for example, don't come in from other countries masquerading as African goods, but taking advantage of this? So those are my two questions, but I just think if you could throw some light also on how Africans can enter into the value addition, the business of value addition, because in different countries there are many raw materials produced, but higher goods are necessary in the world. In a country like Nigeria that produces oil, we export refining and then we import it back, and it's given to us as refined petrol. The price is so high that we even need subsidies. In Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana, for example, that produce cocoa, they export cocoa and import chocolate that is so expensive for even Africans to purchase. So if you could say a few words on the rule of origin, on value chain, that would be really helpful. And the floor is open for other participants to raise their hands.
All right. Thank you very much for your question. I mean, these were envisaged. You see, honestly, I keep saying that the Continental Free Trade has not come to do any magic. Whatever we were doing before, we have to still be doing. In fact, the difference is the tariff issue coming to and then other protocols. The Continental Free Trade did not come to do away with regional existing blocks. No. If you look at the preamble of the agreement, it says it's going to work or build on the regional economic blocks or regional economic operations. That is very important. So that if ECOWAS was doing something, it's not coming to do away with everything ECOWAS was doing. No, it's going to work hand in hand and build that is the umbrella. That in that perspective, then it means therefore that it is not coming, it's an economic agreement, not political one where it's going to interfere with other issues. However, if you take, for example, the Continental Free Trade Agreement, the rules of origin has been carefully designed and carefully negotiated such that the components of which has to do with whether it's partially made, wholly made, or value addition. The key area is the value addition. The value addition is Africa is not a fully industrialized economy. Africa economies are growing and transforming gradually. Therefore, there are certain manufacturing inputs that will be imported from outside Africa. When you import those materials or inputs and you finish a product, Do you say you qualify for an originating status? In other words, we have to accept that it's made in Africa for you to enjoy the duty free. That is what value addition is going to mean. Value addition is, look, we are giving you up to 60%. What that means is that whatever input you take from wherever it is in as part of your manufacturing process, and the goods, after the goods have been produced, your ex-factory price and whatever you do should not go beyond 61%. It is going to attract originating status. Remember, if you buy X from Brazil, and then you come here and you come to Africa, and then you rear it, or it hatches, and then you start, you have a chicken, it is not produced in Brazil, it is produced in Africa. And so you qualify for originating status, which is very, very important. So the rules of origin is clear on the harmonization and headings. We don't want to go, that's another time. So we have harmonization and headings for various goods. Then what is important is what we call the tariff concessions. The tariff concessions are in an ordinary man's term, the list of products that countries are saying, I am ready to liberalize. I am ready to let go. So when you bring it to my country, it's tax-free. Those lists must be submitted to the Secretariat, after Secretariat, or it will be published on what we call the Africa Trade Observatory. The Africa Trade Observatory is like the website that is going to be harmonizing or having all countries publish their tariff concessions, so that it's easy for businesses to know that, okay, this country, when I'm going, they don't accept this product, they don't accept that product, or this product is not meant for grab. The reason why it is 90% of product, and I'm going to, it's connecting to your question. The reason why we have 90% of product liberalized is that 10% has been left for countries. Out of that 10%, we call them the sensitive list and exclusive list. These are supposed to support growing industries. The sensitive list and the exclusive list. With the exclusive list, you are saying that no matter what, I'm never going to negotiate. With the exclusive list, you are saying that maybe in the future we will negotiate for tariff liberalization. So it means that business associations have to be on the watch out to see that within my country, this list provided by the Ministry of Trade is saying that, look, this list, I'm not supposed to see any of these products within my country. So when you start seeing them, then you have to approach them. Why? How did it get in here? Because you have not liberalized that. That is to support growing industries. The same way, if a product comes from outside Africa, and it's coming from, as you mentioned, China, Europe, whatever it is, the agreement is talking about preferential. When you talk about free trade, you're talking about preferential treatment. Therefore, the preferential treatment, which has to do with concessions granted, is only for member states. Only for member states. So any product that is made outside Africa, which has not been given an originating status by the rules of origin, will not go duty free. So countries can go ahead and have partnership agreements with other countries outside Africa. That is not bad at all. However, you cannot give a concession to a country outside Africa and then you try to impose restrictions upon a member state. No. So for example, if Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana and Nigeria are members, Ghana cannot give concession because of a trade agreement to goods coming from Brazil, and then when it comes to Cote d'Ivoire, I say, no, for this your goods, I'm going to impose tariff. No way. The rules of origin allows that fair trade. So that is just a summary of how the rules of origin is going to be. Now, with your question of you asked about the North African whatever, the agreement is an economic agreement. It's looking at how boosting intra-African trade will be. So it's not going to limit itself to any. The only country that has not signed is Eritrea. All the other countries have ratified. It's there for some of them to finish submitting their letters of ratification. But most, apart from Eritrea, everybody have signed. Now, some of the protocols, you see, the agreement was said that if you are not careful, you will bring everything and it lose its direction. So security issues are very important. Security issues are very important, but you cannot fit it directly inside the agreement. So you realize that we said that you must ease your borders. So what happens? The Continental Free Trade is also working on liberalization of institutions. So when they say liberalization of institutions, the agreement is saying that, let people move freely. So what will happen? How will people move if your borders are closed? So automatically it's telling you that work on your border issues with any other country. So what will happen is that the ministers of trade they form a council, an architect, within the architecture of that Continental Free Trade. They will advise the heads of state that, look, heads of state, you are the final, the assemblies of heads of state, you are the final implementers of this agreement. We are having border issues. Our people are telling us that they are having border issues. So the ministers of trade will now refer it to the heads of state. And then they go for extraordinary summit and say, look, all borders that are closed, please reopen your borders in the interest of trade and peace. That can be done. That is what I think. And then finally, in the area of value addition, as I said, currently, agribusiness, I support the words of the African Development Bank. The president, what he said. He said, look, agribusiness is going to make a lot of millionaires in Africa because we are looking at almost trillions of dollars revenue. And it is a place that you need so much intensive capital. But the process, the agri-processing alone is going to lead into a massive industrialization and manufacturing sector. So agribusiness should be a great area. Not only agribusinesses. Apart from the agribusinesses, you are looking at areas such as what we call the exporter. I'm sorry, I'm at home. You're going to look at exportable chains. The exportable chains are, maybe you are within the value chain, but you are not ready to export. So you will now trade with a company that will export. I'm giving you consultancy free. you might belong to a chain, but you are not the final exporter. So you can be able to position yourself so that you will now support the chain by providing or supplying to the exportable company. The exportable company with that capacity will not export. You will take whatever you're supposed to. So the value chains can be built on comparative advantage. And I was happy you mentioned Ghana's cocoa issue. We realized that, look, enough is enough. Why are we taking all the beans out when we can, in fact, do whatever we want to do? It is sad to know that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire put together, their cocoa output is more than any other country. But when it comes to chocolate revenue, Netherlands leads the whole world. Why? In the same way, when you come to other minerals, when you come to other raw materials, why? And I'm happy that countries like Rwanda are showing the way. They are building refinery, gold refinery. They said, look, things, we don't want to take the raw gold out like that. No, how can we let the raw gold go out like that, the bar, and then it comes in wristwatches, gold wristwatches, and we are happy to wear ornamentals? No, the same way, we have to look at the same way when it comes to other sectors of the economy. So the value chain, identify a product, identify a market, build upon the kind of chain that you feel you have the capacity, and then again, seek for the support. Apart from building that chain, look also for your comparative advantage as a country. Let me end by saying that, look, it will not, we will be entering into a system we call the barter system very soon. And that will help us. Why? Because if Nigeria, why would Nigeria import a lot of salt from elsewhere when Ghana can supply Nigeria a whole quantity of salt? Why would Ghana also import wheat from Iran when we know that Nigeria can supply us wheat so much? So why don't we can go into that barter agreement? It's done. Because we are going into joint infrastructure development to support trade facilitation. Currently, Ghana is going to have an extension of rail between Ghana and Burkina Faso. That is a joint investment. The same way we can do it when it comes to looking at value chains in terms of barter system. I just want to rest my point here, and then over to you, moderator.
Thank you so much for those the explanation. I think I've gotten answers to questions, and I think you provided a lot of clarity, additional clarity on a lot of issues regarding how the practicalities of how ministers of trade can go and clarify issues relating to borders. Due to time constraints, I will suggest that we move to the second speaker and come back to questions on the AfCFTA if we have them at the end, toward the end of the presentation. But we will be moving on because we're almost an hour into the time.